All right, let's peel back the digital curtain today. We're always told that artificial intelligence is this kind of magical, autonomous thing. But what if that intelligence isn't magic at all? What if it's actually built on a foundation of hidden human work? So let's get into it. This quote from the film Humans in the Loop really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's this idea that behind all the clean, objective-looking math, there's something else going on, something deeply human and, yeah, deeply subjective, a whole cultural point of view. I mean, this is the story we're all sold, right? AI just kind of exists somewhere up in the cloud. It's pitched to us as this clean, almost divine miracle. You know, effortless, super smart, and totally separate from the messy, physical world of human labor. And here's the big twist. This film argues that AI isn't just a product of silicon brilliance. Not at all. It's actually a giant, meticulously constructed mosaic, pieced together from millions of clicks, thousands of judgments, and just the sheer fatigue of a hidden human workforce. So, the film we're going to be digging into is called Humans in the Loop, and it makes this really radical argument that algorithmic bias isn't some technical bug you can just patch with better code. No, it says that bias is a fundamental feature baked right into the cultural DNA of how AI is made. To really get how this works, we have to talk for a second about ideology. And look, this isn't just about big capital P politics. It's about all those unconscious beliefs that shape how we see everything. It's the stuff that tells us what's normal or what looks professional or even what seems suspicious. So the AI isn't seen in an objective world of data. The film argues its gaze becomes what it calls a mirror of representation. It literally reflects the specific and often corporate ideologies of the human workers who are getting paid to tag images and label data, often under some pretty intense pressure. And that leads to a huge question, right? A question of power. If human knowledge is what's feeding the machine, then we have to ask, which humans? And whose knowledge is actually seen as valuable? The film really lays bare what it calls an epistemic hierarchy. So at the very top, you've got the data scientist, say in Silicon Valley, who's seen as the authoritative creator. But way down at the bottom is the data labeler, often in the global south, who's treated as disposable. And the result? All the rich, nuanced local knowledge that worker has just gets stripped away. And the AI ends up with a worldview that looks a whole lot less like the actual globe and a whole lot more like a corner of California. So, okay, how does a film make you see all this? This is where it gets really interesting. It's not just about what the film says, it's about how it looks and how it feels. The aesthetic choices, the style, that is the argument. It uses the language of cinema to make this invisible labor feel real and tangible. Now, to really get this, we got to talk about a concept called commodity fetishism. Sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It's just that moment when we completely forget about the people who made a product. All the human toil just vanishes, and the product itself, whether it's a pair of sneakers or a smartphone app, suddenly seems to have this magical life of its own. And the film just absolutely shatters that illusion. It is constantly showing us the sleek, clean, effortless app on one hand, and then the physical reality of the work on the other, the cramped rooms, the dim lighting, the repetitive strain. Suddenly, that effortless click doesn't feel so effortless anymore. You see it as the physical burden it actually is. This is where the film's editing becomes so crucial to its argument. It doesn't just show us the labor. It uses this really clever cinematic trick to directly connect that labor to the massive world-altering outputs of AI. It uses a technique called a match cut. So 1 second, you see a worker's hand in a small room, clicking a mouse to tag an image, and then, bam! The very next shot is the consequence of millions of those clicks, a drone navigating its target, or a self-driving car making a split-second decision. That edit isn't just for style points, it forges an undeniable causal link between that tiny human action and this massive technological outcome. The film really forces us to experience this labor through its camera and its sound design. We get these extreme close-ups of workers' eyes, and you can just see the physical strain at the dry eye fatigue. It even overlays the same bounding boxes that AI uses onto human faces, forcing us, the audience, to see people the way a machine does, as just another data point to be sorted. And the sound, it's this haunting mix of mechanical clicks, while human voices are muffled or just gone, replaced by the sound of the interface. Their identity is literally being erased by the sound of their own work. So all of these aesthetic choices, the cinematography, the editing, the sound, they are not just window dressing. They're not just there to look cool. They are the film's language. They all work together to build this incredibly powerful and really cohesive critique of our digital world. And this is where it all snaps into place. You see how every single aesthetic choice is deliberate. That bounding box isn't just a cool visual. It's an argument that AI is a mirror of representation. The screen within a screenshot isn't just artsy composition. It's a Marxist critique of how workers get boxed in by the very thing they're creating. Those match cuts are a structuralist argument about cause and effect. And the extreme close-ups? They are reclaiming the real physical, biological human body from the myth of the incorporeal cloud. It is an absolute masterclass in using the form of filmmaking to make a deep philosophical point. So the crucial point here is this. The film doesn't just want you to feel sorry for the workers. I mean, that would be too easy. The real goal is to push us beyond just feeling bad for people and get us to a systemic critique of this entire global industry that runs on this hidden and, let's face it, often exploitative labor. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. By making the invisible visible, this film basically gives us a new pair of eyes to see the world with. It shows us the ghosts in the machine, the human hands, the human eyes, and the human minds behind every single smart thing we do. So the question is, once you've seen them, can you ever really unsee them?